Welcome to the show. After the show, what happens right after the show? Cheers.
Dementors.
Man, I feel like we've been talking about Dementors a lot lately.
I know we did the Dementors Horcrux video, and like, I think the reason we did the Dementors Horcrux video is because we were already researching this video, and it was just like, well, let's just go down this avenue instead.
That's true.
But then this one was still there, so.
We've had it on the board.
Dementors.
Yeah, we've had it on the board for quite some time, and it is interesting. Like, this always again calls into question. I feel like this is something I brought up in a couple shows recently. This idea of like, as developed as the wizarding world is,
right?
It does seem like there are some areas where it's like, yeah, that's not totally thought out, like necessarily like all the way.
Right. It's sort of like when you think about it, like what, like sure, when you just learn about Azkaban for the first time, you're like, oh, terrible place, Dementors. But then like the more you learn about the wizarding world, you're like, how did they ever let this happen?
Oh yeah,
like that shouldn't be the case.
I think it's because it's so first introduced with the idea of it being like for murderers, you know?
Right.
Almost as if like murderers go to a completely different kind of prison than people who have like mild misdemeanors because they didn't register their wand or something like that, you know, like but then they're like kind of fast and loose with it, and like I can never decide if it's like sort of this like heavy-handed fudge, you know, whatever, where he like sends Hagrid and he tries to send Dumbledore and he just like,
right.
You know, they keep sending these people to the worst prison imaginable for like what seems like
life sentences.
Yeah.
It's like Hagrid gets out because they like find out who actually did it, but they didn't even know if Hagrid did it.
Oh yeah. It's like, why was there not more of, I don't know, a judicial system or whatever? But like, I think in a lot of ways it becomes this like sort of plot device that helps move the concept forward. You know, it's like, well, but I have to send them somewhere terrible. Like they're in a really bad place.
Yes.
And
I mean, it works out as such a good plot device because it's like the Dementors are, or since like all of Voldemort's followers are in there, and as soon as he comes back, it's like, oh yeah, suddenly like we can persuade the Dementors away, and then it's easy to break out, and then you know, But it's weird how like the Dementor. It's interesting. She gives them such weird personality, like. They're actually angry, Sirius Black escaped, and they're out looking for him. It's like, I don't know that... It doesn't, like, the way you read about them in non-Harry Potter books, but in still, like, the Potter universe, it sounds like they wouldn't really care, but she sort of gives them something of personality.
Right. Almost, like, almost as if they could have, like, a chief or something like that. You know, like the head Dementor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Like, I think when they're first introduced, it does seem like Dementor is more of a term given to a guard than it is like the actual beast itself. And then like entering Fantastic Beasts, I feel like there's this whole like big time message that like Newt is trying to get across to people that like beasts in general aren't inherently dangerous. You just have to know how to handle them.
Right.
But then like Dementors even like you can't really undercut them to the tune of like, no. If you just know how to handle them, then they're great.
Right.
It's like, they're awful. They're not beasts.
Right. They're awful. And they exist because awfulness happened.
Exactly.
Basically. So it's like, yeah, they're a good creature in that sense. And then they also make for like, they make the Patronus, which is like, you know, Harry's super spell.
Right.
That much.
Even like the Patronus is one of these things too, where it's like, I forget who it is. Not Lee Jordan. Someone is impressed that he can produce a Patronus when they're like at the Hog's Head.
Oh, yeah, like when they're talking about that.
Yeah.
Yes. It's interesting. That one is weird. That sounds like none of them are aware of it. Although, like, in Prisoner, other people should be aware of it because he casts it in the middle of a Quidditch match and, like, Prongs comes out.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Like, people should know.
Yeah, like people should have seen. Maybe they just like didn't see. Maybe they didn't know what they were looking at, but
or that it was Harry or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
It seems it does seem a little bit like inconsistent. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that like a Patronus seems like a rather useless spell most all of the time.
Yeah, like unless it's for Dementors.
Right, it would almost be like if there was some specific form of self-defense that we had that was specifically for like if a terrorist attacked you personally.
Okay, so here's an interesting thing. So like the Patronus is almost like the exact opposite of the Dementor.
Sure.
So like they're sort of like born of these things, and they're like the reason they're able to be repelled is like because they're like just such a positive force, and there's like nothing for them to feed on. I wonder then, like, why does it take a spell to make a Patronus, but a Dementor can just exist? Like, if there was enough happiness in a place, could Patronuses just like pop into
Just
being?
form. Oh, interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
And then to that end, could someone just like cast the Dementor, like if they focused on a negative enough thought or something?
It seems like it.
Like
I mean,
expecto demento or something.
oh man, that would be so weird. Like if you could use a Dementor as like a negative force.
Right.
That is really interesting.
Hmm.
I mean, it seems like if we're talking, you know, equal
Yeah.
and opposite, but like maybe it's not quite equal and opposite. It's just sort of
Right.
like this is like a solution to a problem. But
Yeah, right. Maybe they're not really two sides of the same coin. They're just
right.
yeah.
Right. No, it's interesting, and I guess the other thing I've always wondered with the Dementors is even like how they travel, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that they're able to just, and maybe that's even similar to a Patronus where you can like send it as like a messenger. But like when Umbridge sends the Dementors to like Little Whinging to attack Harry, how do they get there? How do they get to Hogwarts?
They just float
They
slowly.
just like slowly like drift along. It's like, is that sort of like the
yeah. Coming for you, Sirius Black. We gonna get you.
right. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. They are they're one of these things about the story that like if you think about it for too long, it's like there are some inconsistencies.
Perhaps. It also seems like how like could they effectively exist far away from Azkaban where there's like not suffering and stuff, or like how long could they exist away from there?
How long could they exist? Oh, right. Sure. Like, at what point in time, like, if they're guarding Hogwarts, because I feel like that's even the explanation, given when they attack, like, the Quidditch field, is like, they've been outside guarding Hogwarts for so long, or whatever the case may be that they're doing there, and all of the positive energy around the Quidditch field is the reason why they, like, swoop in, and, like, Dumbledore's furious with them, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That is a good question. Like,
Yeah.
could, like, if they guarded Hogwarts long enough, would they just, like, go
Stop
away?
existing?
Yeah.
Like, did they have to, like, are they changing shifts here?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Weird.
Need to get a refill on some of that sorrow.
Yeah. Gotta go. Yeah. Get some more Dementor coffee back at Azkaban, so to speak.
We kept making jokes throughout the entirety of recording about what if Dementors were just
like regular prison guards.
Right, like taking breaks and
taking
talking about
breaks,
stuff.
going to the break room. Brought some lunch today. What do you got? Can they get married? Like wives.
Gosh.
That'd be hilarious.
Gotta get back to the wife and little nightmares.
Literally. Oh man, I love that idea.
Oh man.
Super
Anyway,
funny.
I feel like we've adequately covered our thoughts on this topic.
Yeah.
But until next time.
Bye.
Bye.